Good evening, Minister. Of course, early childhood development doesn't fall under the Department of Basic Education. It falls under your department at the moment. I understand it's being transitioned. So I'd like to ask for your response to today's ruling.
Yes, Sally. We are all interested in ensuring that ECDs do open, and we are all interested in ensuring that in order for them to open, they have to make sure that they abide to the guidelines, to the protocols. They must make sure that there is safety. So the judge himself indicated in his concluding remarks that they must open provided they make sure that they follow all due process and make sure that it's protocol. As a department, as a government, we are also just as conscious of the importance of stimulation, nutrition, safe spaces. We're also very conscious of the need for parents to get back to work. We're also very conscious of the fact that many have lost their income because of that, and therefore they have to go back to work. We're very conscious of that.
Now, the judge said your decision on the 5th of June to keep the ECD sector closed was unconstitutional as it relates to private preschools. What's your response to that?
The government of President Cyril Ramaphosa, by the way, is responsible for all, whether they're in private or whether in public, whether they're anywhere, number one. Number two, at most, what is facing us is an unbelievable, something that we never thought would happen to us, and all of us are now confronted by something that we never thought would face us. And therefore, in dealing with it, we've had to collectively come together and work and decide how do we want to make sure that we reduce the numbers of infection, we reduce the deaths that we see, we help protect our communities, but at the same time, communities have to help themselves to protect themselves. So by the time this judgment came, we had already, as a department, were working through the directives, including the gazetting of the directives, which clearly indicate the protocols for opening. We already even worked out on a plan of what needs to happen and how are we going to monitor that, because it's easy for us to rush and say, well, we're opening. We don't want an opening and closing. We just want to make sure that, everybody adheres to the protocol.
All right, so you're saying you were kind of getting there anyway. You were just trying to make sure it was all in place. I do want to get your response to the fairly harsh words directed at you and your department from Judge Fabricius. You didn't file an answering affidavit on the 15th of June. He found that really unacceptable, that you did not respond. Why did you not respond?
The fact of the matter is that we don't work alone. When it comes to issues of education, basic education and all, we work together with the Department of Basic Education. And so we needed to make sure that there are no contradictions between the two of us. Our filing was late. It's not that we didn't file. If we're not working together and if we're not conscious of previous rulings that had been done, including that ruling of Musi Maimane, and also what the rulings that had been made as far as basic education is concerned. If we had to do it single-handedly on our own, we would have gone ahead. But unfortunately for us, we needed to make sure that when we file, we are not in contradiction of other decisions that had been taken before. We are also not in a fight either with our Minister of Basic Education and the processes thereof.
Yes,
we take the point that we were late in our filing. We take the point, and I think that we'll just have to make sure that such things don't happen. We take the point.
Is it made more difficult because you do have to work with the Department of Basic Education? And I understand that this early childhood development is soon going to fall under the Basic Education Department.
Yes, absolutely. It will fall under the Department of Basic Education because that decision was taken a long time ago, and even President Cyril Ramaphosa made the announcement during his State of the Nation address. So we are in the process. In fact, we're far with planning for this and processing, and unfortunately COVID-19 struck, and therefore we had to sort of step back a little bit to make sure that we stabilize the situation. Our basic interest as a Department of Social Development really is not to stop anyone from opening. We're not going to do that. We have no reason why we should do that. All we want is to make sure that all institutions of early learning childhood are prepared.
Right.
They've done the training.
Fair enough.
They've done the PPEs. They've done all
Minister, I wanted to just get clarity, because I think there has been a lot of confusion around this issue. So today's ruling made it very clear that privately owned ECD centres, early childhood development centres and grade R and below can open as soon as they're ready. What about facilities that are linked to government schools? When can they open? What's the situation regarding those facilities?
By the way, by the time this judgment actually happened, if people were following, we had already made the announcement that in our preparation and our communication and coordinating with the provinces, because it's got to also be understood that it's not just the department sitting at national level without consultation, without coordinating with the provinces. We had already made the announcement that by the 20th of July, all those that are in the ECDs that are managing the ECDs and so forth, they must have gone and made sure that everything is in order. And by the 26th of July, all ECDs must open. And that still stands. They need to open. However, we still insist we are not going to put the lives of the people who are working there, the lives of the children. We need to make sure that they are ready for the opening. And we've got a full plan of ensuring that they open, and we are monitoring.
So just for clarity's sake, if a parent has got a child in an ECD centre that's a government-run centre, are they not opening then until the 26th, but the private ones can open in the meantime? Is that right, if they're all ready?
That's the judgment. But the fact of the matter is that any other ECD who are ready, because, by the way, remember we have to gazette, and we've already been to the state law advisors. I'm just waiting for that document from the state law advisor that assists me to sign off and gazette. And once we have gazetted, I can easily say whichever date we gazette, by the following Monday of that week, anybody can open, provided they're ready for opening, provided they stick to the protocols, provided the safeties are not compromised.
Absolutely. Well, Minister of Social Development, Lindiwe Zulu, thank you very much for your time this evening. We really do appreciate it.